What happens the day after the lion's gate shakes the heavens? What happens on September 10th, when the dust has settled, when the roar of the portal begins to fade into silence, but the power itself still lingers, waiting to be claimed? So many believe the climax is the opening, the flash, the instant of breakthrough. But the truth, God's chosen ones, is that the real test comes the morning after. On September 9th, the lion's gate pierced through dimensions like a blazing sword, cutting the veil, releasing divine currents that electrified the atmosphere. That was the shattering of barriers, the unlocking of doors. But 9/10 is the aftermath, and the aftermath is often more dangerous, more decisive, and more defining than the initial event. Think of an earthquake. The ground shakes violently, and in that moment you feel the raw force of nature. But what follows? The tsunami, the wave, the silent, building power that doesn't strike instantly, but rolls in after, swallowing everything in its path. Those who celebrated too soon are swept away. Those who remained alert, anchored, and prepared are the ones who survive and rise. This is the spiritual truth of September 10th. Yesterday, the portal roared. Today, the wave comes. And it is not for the distracted. It is not for those who treat 9 out of 10 as just another date. No, it is for those who understand that the day after breakthrough is the day you must stand guard the fiercest. The Bible itself testifies to this pattern. After the Red Sea parted, Israel had to walk through on dry ground. It wasn't enough to see the miracle. They had to move through the aftermath in faith, Exodus 14. After Elijah called down fire from heaven, Jezebel's retaliation came not in the fire, but in the day that followed, testing his endurance, not just his power, 1 Kings 19. After Jesus' baptism, when the heavens opened and the Spirit descended, the next scene was not glory, but wilderness, a season of testing and isolation, Matthew 4. Do you see it? The opening is never the end. The roar is never the final note. The day after is the true crucible, the refining fire that determines who will keep the blessing and who will let it slip away. And that is why September 10th is not a casual day. It is a sacred one. The Lion's Gate did not close with the setting sun of 9 out of 9. Its vibrations are still echoing, still spilling, still resonating through the spiritual atmosphere. But they're no longer falling like a storm for everyone to feel. Now, the energy seeks those who are anchored, still, and ready to hold what has been released. This is the danger, chosen ones. Many will think the event has passed, that the moment is over. They will go back into noise, into crowds, into ordinary rhythm. They will treat today as after. But for you, it must be the continuation, the calm eye after the storm, the solemn aftermath that demands vigilance, not slumber. The enemy knows this pattern too. That's why the fiercest distractions don't come before your breakthrough. They come after. The spiritual tsunami is not just divine. It is contested. The enemy waits for the aftershock, hoping to catch you unguarded, to dilute your focus, to scatter the seed before it takes root. That's why 9 out of 10 is the true proving ground. It's not about feeling the roar. It's about anchoring the echo. It's not about being swept up in the surge. It's about holding your ground when the wave comes. And so I ask again, what happens the day after the Lion's Gate shakes the heavens? The answer depends entirely on you. Will you scatter or will you stand? Will you treat 9 out of 10 as a leftover? Or will you see it as the overflow, the divine aftermath where destinies are sealed, crowns are placed, and inheritances are claimed. The Lion's Gate may have roared on September 9th, but on September 10th, the roar still vibrates within you. And only those who guard it fiercely in sacred solitude will step into the wave without being swept away. Here's what you must understand. Chosen ones, spiritual power is not bound by the calendar. Heaven does not close its windows at midnight like the ticking hands of a clock. No, when the Lion's Gate roars open, it sends out ripples, vibrations, waves of energy that continue beyond the moment of opening. The portal may have pierced the heavens on September 9th, but the power continues to move, to ripple, to overflow into September 10th. Think of a stone cast into a still pond. The moment it hits the water is sudden, dramatic, undeniable. That is 9 of 9. But the ripples, expanding outward in perfect circles long after the splash, are just as important. They carry the energy across the surface, reaching distant shores. That is 9 out of 10. The day of ripples, the day of overflow. The tragedy is that most people only focus on the splash. They look for fireworks, for shaking, for the visible sign. They feel the breakthrough of 9-9 and assume the work is done. But the chosen know better. September 9th is revelation. September 10th is manifestation. One shows you the promise. The other tests if you are ready to carry it. Look at Joshua after Jericho, Joshua 6. The miracle was not the walls falling. That was the roar, the dramatic tearing down of barriers. The true test came after. Could Israel walk into the city? Could they claim the promise, hold the territory, and steward what God had just delivered into their hands? The miracle opened the door, but the aftermath required discipline, courage, and obedience. So it is with you. 9/9 tears down walls. 9 out of 10 asks if you will step inside. The Bible is filled with this pattern. After Noah's flood ended, the real challenge was not surviving the storm, but rebuilding a world from scratch, Genesis 9. After Pentecost, fire fell in Acts 2. The disciples didn't sit in awe. They walked into the streets, carrying the overflow into the world. After Jesus rose from the grave, the resurrection was not the end, but the beginning. The disciples were tested to carry his message to the nations, even through persecution. Do you see it? The aftermath is the assignment. The overflow is where destiny is either anchored or wasted. On September 10th, the chosen are being tested. Heaven asks, will you protect the energy I poured into you yesterday? Or will you let it leak out into noise, distraction, and ordinary living? It is not enough to have received on September 9th. You must retain it. You must steward it. You must manifest it. This is why 9 out of 10 matters so deeply. Revelation alone will not transform you. It must be embodied, guarded, and walked out in faith. Imagine someone who receives a priceless seed, golden, rare, one of a kind. That is 9 out of 9. But unless they plant it in good soil, protect it from birds, and water it daily, the seed dies before bearing fruit. That is the danger of September 10th. You carry something sacred, but if you let it fall into carelessness, it never matures. And make no mistake, the enemy knows this pattern too. He doesn't fight you hardest when you receive revelation. He fights you hardest the day after, when you're tempted to go back to routine, to expose your energy to chaos, to treat the overflow as ordinary. That's when distraction comes dressed as normal life. That's when opportunities to scatter appear. That's when people pull on your time, your attention, your focus, all to rob you of the overflow. But you, chosen one, are called higher. September 10th is not a casual day. It is the divine sealing day, the anchoring of yesterday's roar into today's foundation. It is the difference between seeing the promised land and entering it, between hearing the trumpet and marching into battle, between revelation and manifestation. So I ask you, will you anchor the overflow or lose it to distraction? Will you prove trustworthy with the wave that follows the roar? Remember this truth. Heaven does not measure you by what you hear, but by what you hold. If 9-9 demanded your focus, then understand this. 9 out of 10 demand your solitude even more fiercely. On September 9th, the roar of the lion's gate was undeniable. The heavens themselves seemed to crack open, pouring out fire, clarity, and revelation. Even the distracted could feel its tremors. But 9 out of 10 is different. On this day, the noise of life tries to return. The world rushes in with its conversations, obligations, and endless distractions. And yet, the overflow energy released in the aftermath of the portal is delicate, vulnerable, and sacred. It must be fiercely protected. This is why solitude is not optional on September 10th. It is essential. The same people who pulled at you before will pull harder now. Friends will call, conversations will arise, tasks will demand your attention. They may not even realize it, but their energy, their voices, their presence can scatter what you received. The overflow is a flame, and too much wind can snuff it out. Think of a seed planted deep in soil. The day it is placed in the ground is not its most fragile moment. It is the day after, when the soil is still unsettled, when the roots have not yet taken hold, when the tiniest disturbance can destroy it before it has a chance to grow. The same is true for the blessings of September 9th. They have been planted in your spirit, but they are not yet rooted. If you let others trample your soil on September 10th, the seed dies before bearing fruit. This is why the prophet Habakkuk declared in Habakkuk 2 verse 3, "For the vision awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." What you received on September 9th is real. The vision is alive, but it awaits an appointed time. It must be incubated, sheltered, hidden in the soil of your solitude until the right moment of manifestation. To expose it too soon is to risk miscarriage of destiny. Do not be deceived. The demand for solitude is not punishment, it is preservation. Look through Scripture, and you will see it again and again. Moses withdrew to Mount Sinai alone to receive the tablets of the covenant. The people were left below in noise and chaos, but the revelation was entrusted only in solitude. Elijah heard God's voice not in the earthquake, not in the fire, but in the gentle whisper, a sound only discernible in stillness. 1 Kings 19. Even Jesus himself withdrew often to lonely places to pray. Before the cross, before miracles, before the great tests of his mission, he chose solitude. Why? Because the overflow requires a protected container. Solitude is the container that keeps your spiritual wine from spilling. Without it, what was poured into you on September 9th drains out into the ground of distraction, leaving nothing to show for it. And let's be honest, solitude is not easy. The moment you choose it, distractions rise up like waves. Notifications ping. Conversations knock at your door. Even your own thoughts turn restless, trying to drag you back into noise. But remember this, distraction is the assassin of destiny. The enemy doesn't need to steal your blessing. He only needs to distract you long enough until it evaporates on its own. That is why 9 out of 10 requires you to be ruthless. Shut the door. Silence the phone. Guard your atmosphere. This is the day you must treat your sacred space as holy ground, untouchable, sealed. The world will not understand, but the chosen never live for the world's understanding. Understand this pattern. 9-9 was the opening, but 9-10 is the incubation. 9/9 was the planting, but 9/10 is the rooting. September 9th gave you the spark, but 9 out of 10 demands you keep it alive. And so, chosen one, I ask you, will you protect the seed? Will you honor solitude, even when it feels heavy, even when it feels lonely? For solitude is not loneliness, it is alignment. It is in this silence that visions deepen, roots take hold, and destinies solidify. Do not break the seal of this day. Guard it like a fortress. For if you endure this sacred solitude, what was planted on September 9th will grow strong enough to carry you into seasons far beyond this moment. If 9 out of 9 was a doorway into divine revelation, then 9 out of 10 is the battlefield that follows. Do not be naive, chosen one. Every breakthrough is followed by warfare. Every open portal attracts opposition. Every release of divine light stirs up shadows that seek to extinguish it. Understand this spiritual law. The enemy does not fight you hardest in moments of stillness. He fights you hardest after your breakthrough. When heaven deposits revelation into your spirit, the kingdom of darkness immediately launches a counterattack. Why? Because what you received has the power to change not only your life, but the lives of many others. If the seed takes root, nations can be impacted. If the vision breathes, families can be restored. If the calling matures, strongholds can be shattered. So the enemy fights, not because of who you were yesterday, but because of who you are becoming after September 9th. Look at the pattern in Scripture. Judas did not betray Jesus during casual days of ministry. His betrayal came after the Last Supper, after the sacred breaking of bread, after Jesus released words of destiny and covenant. A holy portal had just opened. The new covenant was about to be sealed, and immediately betrayal slipped in. Do you see? The moment of overflow is always followed by interference. This is why September 10th is dangerous. On the surface, it looks calm. The great roar of 9-9 has faded. But beneath the veil, unseen battles rage around your frequency. The heavens war for your promise, while the shadows scheme for your downfall. If you could hear the spiritual realm, you would hear the clash of swords above your head. Angelic armies wrestling with forces determined to choke out your vision before it breathes. The Apostle Paul revealed this truth plainly in Ephesians 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. The attacks you feel on September 10th will not always look like demons with horns. They will come through people, distractions, sudden irritations, emotional heaviness, unexpected confusion, or subtle temptations designed to pull you off frequency. But do not mistake the packaging. Behind them stands the true battle. And here lies the strategy of the adversary. He cannot undo what was given on September 9th, but he can distort it, dilute it, or derail it before it takes form. His weapon is interference. Think of a radio station. If the frequency is clear, you hear the message perfectly. But if static enters, the message is lost in noise. 9 out of 10 is the day of static. It is the day the enemy releases noise to jam your frequency. hoping you forget what you heard on September 9th, hoping you doubt what was revealed, hoping you dismiss it as imagination. This is why the chosen must be vigilant. Shut the doors. Dim the noise. Guard your atmosphere like a warrior guarding sacred fire. If you let everyone's voice back in, you risk drowning out the whisper of God. If you allow yourself to be pulled into drama, debates, or distractions, you lose clarity. This is not a day to argue. This is not a day to explain yourself. This is not a day to mingle with crowd. This is a day to protect your frequency. Do you see the pattern? Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the tablets, only to find the people dancing around an idol. Interference. Nehemiah rebuilt the wall, but Sanballat and Tobiah harassed him with distractions and threats. Interference. Paul preached the gospel, only to be chased by persecution city after city. Interference. Even Jesus himself, after the heavens opened at his baptism, was immediately led into the wilderness to be tempted. Interference. The greater the breakthrough, the greater the interference. That is why the chosen must not take 9 out of 10 lightly. This is not a casual day. This is a day to armor up, to cover yourself in prayer, in silence, in discernment, to be so aware of the schemes of the enemy that you do not take the bait. And here is the danger. The interference rarely announces itself. It slips in subtly. A phone call that pulls you into gossip. A comment that stirs offense. A small distraction that consumes hours. A wave of tiredness that tempts you to sleep through your assignment. These seem small, but they are strategic. For the enemy knows he cannot kill your destiny outright, but he can weaken your focus until you abandon it yourself. This is why your call to action on September 10th is clear. Shut the doors, both physically and spiritually. Do not open every conversation, every platform, every invitation. Guard the gates. Dim the noise. Turn down the volume of media, chatter, and unnecessary input. Noise is the thief of clarity. Protect your frequency. Stay tuned to the voice of God. Stay aligned with what was revealed. Stay connected to the fire that was planted within you. If you endure this day, if you withstand the interference, you will step into a dimension of clarity that few ever experience. For what survives the battle of 9 out of 10 cannot be shaken. The vision will be anchored, the seed will be rooted, and your destiny will be shielded from distortion. So remember, chosen one, the fight is not proof you are failing. The fight is proof you're carrying something worth stealing. The storm around you is not random. It is evidence of what was deposited in you on September 9th. Stand firm. Protect the frequency. For after the battle of 9 out of 10 comes the unfolding of what God has promised. On September 9th, silence was your weapon. Heaven demanded you be still, so you could hear the roar of the lion's gate without distortion. You are not meant to fill the air with your words on that day. You were meant to listen, to absorb, to receive. But now, chosen one, the atmosphere has shifted. 9 out of 10 is not the day of silence. September 10th is the day of declaration. Why? Because the overflow energy released through the portal does not stabilize by thought alone. It must be anchored by sound. Spiritual laws tell us that the universe was framed by the spoken word of God. Hebrews 11 verse 3. Creation itself vibrates on the frequency of speech. God did not think light into existence. He spoke it. Let there be light. And there was light. So on September 10th, your responsibility is not just to carry what you received, but to release it through your voice. Every time you declare truth, every time you release the word, every time you prophesy over your atmosphere, You are hammering stakes into the ground of your destiny. You are saying, "This is mine. This promise will not be stolen. This seed will not be uprooted. This vision will not be silenced." Think of it this way. 9-9 struck the tuning fork of your spirit. The vibration was released. But if you leave it unattended, it will fade into silence. On September 10th, you must take that struck fork and place it against the surfaces of your life, letting it resonate, letting it spread. Your voice is the amplifier. Without it, the sound diminishes. With it, the vibration multiplies. This is why the enemy tries so hard to silence the chosen after breakthrough moments. He knows that as long as revelation remains unspoken, it can remain unmanifested. Silent vision is easily forgotten, but spoken vision? It builds momentum, it charges the atmosphere, it attracts alignment. When you speak, angels are dispatched. When you speak, spiritual contracts are sealed. When you speak, heaven hears and responds. Psalm 19, verse 14, captures this sacred principle. May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Notice that it is not meditation alone, not thought alone, but the words of the mouth paired with the meditation of the heart. Both are required, the inner flame and the outer declaration, the hidden whisper and the audible decree. And do not underestimate the power of your voice. Proverbs 18, verse 21 declares, "The tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit." On September 10th, the fruit you will eat in the months ahead is determined by what you release from your mouth today. Speak fear, and fear multiplies. Speak faith, and faith anchors. Speak doubt, and the overflow scatters. Speak promise, and the overflow crystallizes into manifestation. Let me remind you, when Jesus stood outside the tomb of Lazarus, he did not think resurrection. He spoke it. "Lazarus, come forth." The dead heard, and life answered. That is the same authority embedded in your voice on September 10th. You are not muttering wishful affirmations. You are releasing divine vibrations that command alignment in the unseen. So what should you declare? Speak life over your vision. The seed planted in me on September 9th will grow and bear fruit. Speak protection over your spirit. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Speak alignment over your steps. The Lord orders my path. I will not stumble. Speak abundance over your future. My cup overflows. I lack nothing. Speak destiny over your identity. I am chosen, appointed, and unshakable. Remember, this is not about shouting to the world. You are not broadcasting to the crowd. You are anchoring in the secret place. Close the door, enter your sacred space, and let your words echo in the courts of heaven. For what you say in private will soon manifest in public. Think again of the tuning fork. On September 9th, heaven struck your spirit with divine vibration. On September 10th, your voice ensures that vibration does not die out, but continues resonating, harmonizing with the frequencies of heaven until everything in your life matches the sound of destiny. Silence was obedience yesterday. Declaration is obedience today. Use your voice, chosen one. Seal the overflow with sound. For if you do not speak, the static of interference will drown the melody of your calling. But if you rise and declare, the resonance will carry you beyond September 10th into every promise written for you before the foundations of the world. Chosen one, let me warn you with clarity. The greatest mistake you can make after the roar 9-9 is to rush back into normal too quickly. Many will wake up on September 10th and say to themselves, "It's over. The portal is closed. Back to work. Back to conversations. Back to the same routine." But hear this, to treat 9 out of 10 as business as usual is to abort the seed before it is time to root. Think of the farmer who plants in good soil. When he drops the seed, he doesn't return the next morning to dig it up and show everyone. No, he guards it. He waters it. He lets the process unfold in silence, knowing that disturbance will kill what has just been placed. In the same way, what was deposited in your spirit on September 9th is most fragile the next day. It is alive, but it is vulnerable. It is rich with potential, but easily scattered. Jesus himself gave us the warning in the parable of the sower, recorded in Matthew 13. He said some seeds fell along the path, and the birds came and devoured them. Others fell on rocky ground, but because they had no root, they withered when the sun rose. Do you see the pattern? The seed was never the problem. The soil and the protection were the issue. 9 out of 10 is when your soil is tested. The question is not, did you receive revelation on September 9th? The question is, will you guard it long enough for it to take root? And here's where most stumble. They think the shaking was the event, not realizing the shaking was the planting. They return to social noise too quickly. They rush back into casual conversations, and in those casual words, their sacred seed is trampled. They say yes to every obligation, every demand, every voice, and soon the divine frequency of 9-9 is drowned out by the static of normal life. The overflow that was meant to carry them into destiny is scattered before it even begins. Let me give you an image. Imagine a candle flame just lit in the middle of a storm. The wick is burning, but one careless breath can snuff it out. Would you hold that candle in a crowded room, full of people talking, laughing, and blowing air in every direction? No. You would shield it with your hand. You would guard it with your body. You would protect it from every draft, because you know if you lose that small flame, the light is gone. That is what your breakthrough is like on September 10th. A fragile fire, easily blown out if you rush back into noise. The Israelites show us this lesson too. After crossing the Red Sea, their 9-9 moment, they celebrated. But almost immediately afterward, they grumbled, doubted, and returned in their hearts to Egypt. They treated the miracle as a moment instead of a movement. And because of that, many of them never entered the promised land. They returned to normal too soon. Do not make their mistake. Guard the fragile first day after revelation. Protect it like a newborn child. No mother gives birth and then immediately hands the infant to a stranger. No, she holds, she cradles, she nourishes. Likewise, what God has birthed in you must be carried with tenderness and care until it is strong enough to stand. Hear this. September 9th was the conception, but September 10th is the incubation. If you skip incubation, you miscarry destiny. This is why the Spirit whispers, do not rush. Do not return too soon. So what must you do? Delay the crowd. Not everyone needs your voice today. Keep your words scarce. Delay the obligations. Not every demand requires your immediate yes. Guard your energy. Delay the casual. Ordinary conversations can carry extraordinary damage if they disturb sacred soil. Remember, chosen one, the world will always try to pull you back into its rhythm, but heaven is inviting you into a different pace. The seed cannot survive in divided soil. The overflow energy will not root in distracted hearts. The danger is not in what you lost on September 9th. The danger is in what you scatter on September 10th. So I say again with urgency, do not return too soon. Let the seed settle. Let the root dig deep. Let the overflow stabilize. For if you guard this fragile day, you will look back weeks, months, even years from now and see that what you protected on September 10th became the tree of destiny that sheltered generations. Chosen one, hear me clearly. What you anchor on September 10th is not just for you. It is for generations. The overflow energy that lingers after the lion's gate is not a fleeting gift, like rain that evaporates when the sun rises. No, it is a seed of legacy, a divine current designed to flow through your bloodline, touching sons, daughters, and descendants you may never live to meet. Think of Abraham. In Genesis 15, he stood alone under the stars when God whispered a promise that would outlive him. Look up at the sky and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be. Abraham's solitude with God that night was not just about him. It was about nations. His moment of alignment and stillness birthed Israel, birthed kings, birthed Christ himself. One man's obedience and solitude became the fountainhead of generations. This is why I tell you, do not treat 9 out of 10 lightly. The way you guard, speak, and align in your sacred space today ripples far beyond your own life. Your discipline is writing history. Your silence is building legacy. Let us pause and ask, what if your great-grandchildren's spiritual clarity depends on how you steward this overflow? What if your unborn descendants will inherit peace, wisdom, and protection because you chose solitude on this fragile day? Legacy is not built in crowds. It is built in secret rooms, in whispered prayers, in days like September 10th when no one sees but heaven takes note. The psalmist declares in Psalm 112, verse 2, "Their children will be mighty in the land. The generation of the upright will be blessed." Do you see it? Blessing is generational. What you anchor today sets the atmosphere for those who come after you. Even in the natural world, this truth is mirrored. Scientists tell us that trauma, resilience, even memory can pass through DNA. A grandmother's famine, a father's victory, a mother's prayers, all leave imprints in the lineage. If natural memory flows through blood, how much more does spiritual alignment flow through spirit? When you guard the overflow on September 10th, you are not just protecting your destiny, you are engraving strength into the very fabric of your bloodline. Consider Joseph. His solitude in the prison prepared him for Pharaoh's palace. His stewardship and silence preserved not only Egypt, but his entire family line during famine. Had Joseph despised his solitary days, generations would have starved. One man's faith in isolation became the survival of nations. And consider the opposite. Eli's sons in 1 Samuel 2 rejected the sacred weight of their father's office. Their corruption did not end with themselves. It tore down their house for generations. Neglect of the sacred multiplies as surely as protection of it does. This is why today, on September 10th, the Spirit whispers, "This is bigger than you." Guard it for your children. Guard it for your grandchildren. Guard it for the generations you will never meet, but who will walk in the frequency you stabilize today. Imagine a stone cast into still waters. The ripples extend far beyond the point of impact, reaching shores unseen. So it is with your alignment. Your prayer in solitude today becomes a ripple that moves through time, touching future generations who will never know your name, but will walk in your covering. Think of it this way. Your grandchild may conquer depression because you conquered distraction on September 10th. Your great-granddaughter may walk in prophetic clarity because you chose silence when the world demanded noise. Your descendants centuries from now may find peace in a storm because you stood firm today. This is not merely about you receiving blessing. It is about you becoming a well, a fountain, a reservoir that flows long after your earthly body rests. So, I say this with urgency. Guard the overflow as if generations depend on it, because they do. Your solitude today is not loneliness. It is inheritance. Your silence is not emptiness. It is a womb for legacy. When Abraham stood beneath the stars, he did not see the fullness of the promise. He could not count the descendants. He could not imagine nations, kings, and Messiah. But he believed, and because he believed, generations were born into blessing. Today, you are Abraham under the stars. You are Joseph in the prison. You are the seed carrier, the frequency holder, the legacy bearer. Do not break the chain. Anchor it, seal it, speak it, protect it. And when doubt rises, remember the words of Proverbs 13, verse 22. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. That inheritance is not only money. It is faith. It is peace. It is alignment. It is overflow. So hear the call. This isn't about you alone. This is about legacy. Guard it for the ones who will thank you centuries from now without ever knowing your name. Guard it for the bloodline. Guard it for destiny. Chosen one, listen with trembling reverence. Heaven is watching you today. On September 9th, the roar shook the heavens, the portals split open, and the divine frequency poured down like fire into your spirit. But on September 10th, the test shifts. This day is not about how loudly you can celebrate, how high you can soar, or how deeply you can feel the glory. No, today is about how faithfully you can hold. Revelation 3 verse 11 declares, I am coming quickly. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown. Do you see it? The blessing was given yesterday, but the crown is secured today. Heaven is not measuring your shout. It is measuring your consistency. The angels are not recording your excitement. They are recording your endurance. Understand this. Every breakthrough comes with surveillance. After every roar comes a watch. The eye of heaven hovers over 9 out of 10 like a divine lens, observing who will protect the deposit and who will squander it. Think of it like the days after Jesus' baptism. On the day of baptism, the heavens opened, the Spirit descended like a dove, and the Father's voice thundered approval. That was a 9-9 moment. But immediately afterward, Jesus was led into the wilderness, alone, watched, tested. That was his 9 out of 10. And in that hidden wilderness, heaven observed his consistency while the enemy attempted interference. His ability to resist proved his readiness. The same is true for you. On September 10th, the angels of the Most High stand guard, not only to protect you, but also to measure you. Watching. Will you protect the silence? Will you shut the door? Will you resist the urge to run back into normalcy? Will you hold fast to what was poured into you yesterday? For make no mistake, the enemy is also watching. He cannot steal what God planted, but he waits to see if you will give it away through distraction, carelessness, or compromise. Heaven and hell are both watching, and your actions today determine who will rejoice. This is why Scripture warns again and again that it is not the hearers of the word who are justified, but the doers. James 1 verse 22. Yesterday you heard. Today you prove. Yesterday you received. Today you anchor. Yesterday the heavens poured. Today the heavens observe. Imagine a soldier entrusted with a sealed scroll. On the day it is given, the ceremony is grand, the honor overwhelming. But the true test is not in receiving the scroll. It is in carrying it through deserts, storms, and ambushes until it reaches its destination. The scroll's worth is not measured in the giving, but in the guarding. So it is with the revelation of 9:9. The test of 9 out of 10 is whether you can keep it sealed, pure, and untarnished. And do not think heaven's surveillance is casual. No, it is precise, like a scribe's pen recording every detail. Every word you speak today, every decision you make, every moment you choose solitude over noise, all are weighed. Your crown depends on it, not a crown of gold and jewels, but the crown of spiritual authority, the crown of trust, the crown that marks you as one who can be entrusted with more. Remember the words of Jesus in Luke 16, verse 10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. If you cannot guard the overflow of one day, how can heaven trust you with the overflow of years? If you cannot hold your peace on September 10th, how can you anchor nations on September 11th? The crown is given not in the receiving, but in the proving. Even the prophets knew this. Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, each had their moment of visitation, but afterward came the watch. Solitude, silence, waiting. The heavens observed their posture before releasing them into greater assignment. And now, heaven observes you. So I ask you, chosen one, will you be found trustworthy under heaven's surveillance? Do not be deceived. This day is not about fireworks or visions. It is quieter, heavier, holier. This is the day of weighing, the day of measuring, the day of proving. If you are faithful in this stillness, if you hold the crown tightly, nothing and no one will take it from you. And let us return to Revelation 3, verse 11 one last time. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown. Notice the crown can be taken, not by force, but by neglect. If you loosen your grip, if you return too quickly, if you allow distraction to seep in, the crown slips silently away. But if you hold fast, if you guard with intensity, then your crown is sealed, your legacy is secured, and your authority multiplies. So, chosen one, do not waste this day. Heaven is watching. The scroll is in your hand. The seed is in your soil. The flame is on your wick. Guard it. Anchor it. Prove trustworthy. For if you endure this surveillance with faithfulness, what was given on September 9th will become not just your blessing, but your crown forever. Psalm 23:2 declares, He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. On September 9th, the heavens thundered. On September 10th, the earth is hushed. And you, chosen one, are invited to become as still as the waters that mirror the heavens. Why still water? Because stillness holds a mystery. Stillness is not weakness. Is strength restrained? Is energy stabilized? It is power that has settled into clarity. Just as a stormy ocean hides the depths beneath, so a restless spirit hides the patterns of God. But when the water is calm, the depths are visible, and the reflection is perfect. Think of this. Still water reflects the heavens with precision. The clouds above, the sun, the moon, even the stars at night, all appear undistorted upon the surface of calm waters. But introduce noise, disturbance, or turbulence, and the reflection shatters into fragments. In the same way, your spirit on 9 out of 10 must remain undisturbed, for heaven is seeking to see itself mirrored in you. Remember, The Lion's Gate on September 9th poured divine frequency into your soul. But frequencies resonate best in quiet chambers. Imagine a tuning fork struck in silence. Its hum can fill the room, but strike in chaos, and the sound is drowned. On September 10th, your spirit is the chamber, and stillness is the key to amplification. This is why David, the psalmist, emphasized still waters as a place of restoration. He did not say rushing rapids or crashing waves. He said still waters, because it is only in stillness that the soul finds restoration, the mind receives clarity, and the heart aligns with divine rhythm. Yesterday was impartation. Today is restoration. Noise, on the other hand, creates ripples. Ripples blur reflection. Ripples scatter light. Ripples distort what should be clear. If you rush into conversations, arguments, distractions, or endless tasks today, you're stirring ripples that make it impossible to see heaven's image clearly within yourself. Many miss their next instructions not because heaven is silent, but because their waters are restless. Chosen one, hear this. The energy of still waters is not passive. It is active alignment. Think of a lake at dawn. To the naked eye, it seems motionless, but beneath the surface, ecosystems are thriving. Fish move, currents shift, oxygen flows, yet all of it occurs in harmony, without disturbing the glassy surface. Stillness is not inactivity. It is ordered activity. It is the soul moving in perfect rhythm with heaven. And in this stillness, restoration comes. What the roar of 9-9 shook loose, the weights, the fears, the distractions, 9-10 heals. The Father uses still waters to wash away residue, to replenish what was poured out, and to prepare you for the days ahead. Many think restoration comes from action, but the Psalm says the opposite. It comes from resting beside still waters. Rest is warfare. Stillness is strategy. Silence is survival. Now consider the deeper mystery. Water does not resist. It adapts. It flows. It shapes mountains and carves valleys. Still water, when channeled, becomes a mirror. When moved, it becomes a river. When stored, it becomes a reservoir of power. So, it is with your soul. Today, God calls you not to resist His flow, but to align with it, to settle into His presence, so He may shape you without your interference. Isaiah 30 verse 15 whispers the same truth. In returning and rest you shall be saved. In quietness and in trust shall be your strength. Do you see the pattern? Rest saves. Quietness strengthens. Still waters restore. This is why 9 out of 10 is so delicate. The energy of 9/9 must not be expended but preserved, settled deep into the reservoir of your soul. So I urge you, be still. Turn down the noise. Withdraw from the endless scrolls, the meaningless chatter, the frantic pace. Find a quiet space, a sacred corner, a hidden place where your waters can settle. For only then will you see heaven's reflection clearly within yourself. Only then will the patterns of God, the blueprints for your next steps, emerge in sharp detail. And here is the revelation. When your soul is still, it becomes a mirror not only for heaven, but for those around you. Others will look at you and see peace. They will look at you and see clarity. They will look at you and see the reflection of a God they could not see in themselves. This is legacy. This is overflow. This is the ministry of still waters. Psalm 46 verse 10 confirms it. Be still and know that I am God. Knowledge of God is not born in noise. It is born in stillness. Revelation is not birthed in storms, but in the calm after. On September 10th, your stillness is not just about you. It is about what heaven wants to reveal through you to others, to your lineage, to the world. So, chosen one, on this day after the roar, when angels watch and crowns are measured, remember this simple truth. Your greatest strength is not in movement, but in stillness. Your soul must act like still water, calm, clear, reflective, so that heaven can see itself in you, and so the world can see God's peace through you. Remain still, and you will reflect heaven perfectly. Remain calm, and you will carry restoration into generations. Remain undisturbed, and you will anchor the energy of 9/9 into permanence. For the Lord himself is leading you beside still waters today, not to weaken you, but to restore you. And in that restoration, your soul will shine with the unshakable peace of eternity. Chosen one, listen carefully. 9 out of 9 shook the heavens, but 9 out of 10 is the proving ground. Yesterday was the roar. Today is the echo. Yesterday was the portal. Today is the anchoring. And this anchoring will not happen by accident. It requires decision, discipline, and devotion. The Lion's Gate has released its power, but that power must now be stewarded. It has entered your home. It has entered your heart. It is vibrating in your very atmosphere right now. The roar was never meant to remain in the skies. It was meant to resonate within your walls, within your soul, within your voice. And so the Spirit declares, 9 out of 10 is the test of whether you will keep what has been given. Understand this. Anyone can celebrate in the roar. Few can endure in the silence after. The question is not, did you feel the power of 9/9? The question is, will you guard it on September 10th? 4 crowns are not given to those who begin well, but to those who hold fast to the end. Revelation 3 verse 11 resounds. Hold fast what you have, that no one may take your crown. So here's the call. Stay home. Don't run into the noise. Don't dilute the atmosphere with triviality. Guard your dwelling, for it is now an altar. Stay alone. Withdraw even more deeply than you did yesterday. Sacred solitude is not loneliness, it is alignment. For what God began in the roar, he seals in the silence. Stay guarded. Don't open doors to unnecessary conversations, distractions, or disturbances. Every interruption today is an assignment of the enemy to scatter what was sown. Protect your frequency with holy seriousness. But hear me, today is not only about silence. On September 10th, your voice matters. Yesterday you received. Today you declare. Yesterday you were filled. Today you anchor. Speak destiny aloud. Don't whisper it timidly. Decree it boldly. Let the walls of your home hear it. Let the air in your room vibrate with it. Your declarations are anchors. Your words are stakes driven into the ground of the spirit realm, ensuring that the overflow energy of September 9th takes permanent root. As the psalmist prayed, let it be your cry. May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Psalm 19, verse 14. Declare things like, I will not lose what God poured into me. I am the anchor of my bloodline. No distraction, no interference, no storm will scatter my overflow. I receive the crown that no one can take away. Your words matter. They shift atmospheres. They mark the difference between overflow sustained and overflow lost. And now I call you to action. not just privately, but publicly. Heaven responds to faith, and earth bears witness to alignment. Right now, write 888 in the comments. The number of new beginnings, the sign that you have chosen to anchor what 99 released. Don't delay. Don't hesitate. This is not a meaningless number. It is a prophetic act, a declaration that the overflow belongs to you, your house, and your legacy. By writing it, you are saying, I anchor the wave. I choose stillness over noise. I claim my new beginning. Do not underestimate the power of this act. For angels take record of decrees, and heaven recognizes every chosen one who seals their covenant with faith. Finally, I leave you with urgency. The portal has opened. The wave has come. The roar has sounded. But the question remains, will you anchor it, or will you let it slip away? Will you be the one who remembers the roar, yet loses the overflow? Or will you be the one who guards it so deeply that generations yet unborn drink from its power? Yesterday you received. Today you declare. Yesterday you were filled. Today you anchor. Speak destiny aloud. Don't whisper it timidly. Decree it boldly. Let the walls of your home hear it. Let the air in your room vibrate with it. Your declarations are anchors. Your words are stakes driven into the ground of the spirit realm, ensuring that the overflow energy of September 9th takes permanent root. As the psalmist prayed, let it be your cry. May these words of my mouth and this meditation of my heart be pleasing in your sight, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Psalm 19, verse 14. Declare things like, I will not lose what God poured into me. I am the anchor of my bloodline. No distraction, no interference, no storm will scatter my overflow. I receive the crown that no one can take away. Your words matter. They shift atmospheres. They mark the difference between overflow sustained and overflow lost. And now I call you to action, not just privately, but publicly. Heaven responds to faith, and earth bears witness to alignment. Right now, write 888 in the comments. The number of new beginnings, the sign that you have chosen to anchor what 99 released. Don't delay. Don't hesitate. This is not a meaningless number. It is a prophetic act, a declaration that the overflow belongs to you, your house, and your legacy. By writing it, you are saying, I anchor the wave. I choose stillness over noise. I claim my new beginning. Do not underestimate the power of this act. For angels take record of decrees, and heaven recognizes every chosen one who seals their covenant with faith. Finally, I leave you with urgency. The portal has opened. The wave has come. The roar has sounded. But the question remains, will you anchor it, or will you let it slip away? Will you be the one who remembers the roar, yet loses the overflow? Or will you be the one who guards it so deeply that generations yet unborn drink from its power? The test of 9 out of 10 is upon you. Heaven is watching. The waters are still. The crown is near. Anchor the energy. Declare your destiny. Guard your soul. For this day is not just another day. It is the proving ground of the chosen.